Welcome to the Divorced and Happy podcast, where we discuss all things Act 2. I'm your host, Sadie Marie. I'm excited about today's topic, Beyond Monogamy, where my guest, relationship guru, Mr. Lucario, and I will discuss various types of relationships under the umbrella of non-monogamy. Mr. Lucario has been a dating and relationship coach for 13 years and is known for his no-nonsense and realistic approach. Love it. He's been featured on VH1, TLC, ABC Family, and Anderson Cooper. His advice on dating can be found through online videos, blogs, and his website, mrlucario.com. Best of all, he resides in Brooklyn. Well, hi, Mr. Lucario.
How's it going?
It's going well. Thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
How's life in Brooklyn?
It's good. It's good. You know, it's slower than usual. You know, but it's good. You know what I'm saying?
It's not -9 like it has been here in Minnesota for the last week or so.
Yeah.
You got snow though. You got hit by some snow.
Yeah, it's a lot of snow out there. It's a lot of snow.
Were you shoveling, working hard?
I wasn't doing anything. I was just letting it melt. I'm like, I don't want to do all that. You know? You got to pay some kids to do that and shovel the snow. Pay them $20. You know?
That's fantastic. I didn't have to shovel either, so
yeah,
it worked out for both of us, I guess.
Yeah, it's weird because it usually hasn't snowed like this in in New York. How it is, it hasn't snowed in like years like this. So it's been snowing like every week. It's crazy.
Welcome to my world. So you've been busy still in the midst of COVID-19. You're still having a lot of clients with their questions around dating.
Right.
And how are your clients dating these days?
Right now, a lot of people are doing just a lot of online. You know, that's mostly because everything's shut down. There's hardly nowhere to go as far as like to actually meet people. There's no events, no bars, clubs. It's everything's shut down. So it's like online. And then they might meet up and get a coffee or something, and
do some social distance walking.
Exactly, just walking
video
around.
Dating.
Exactly. So that's like the main thing that's happening right now. You know.
So what kind of advice are they asking for then, since they can't actually be dating as much?
It's mainly like how do I actually meet people? So that's like the main thing. So it's like, and so it's a whole different thing with online. You know, so it's like you gotta, sign up for the apps, and then you gotta do the FaceTime. Then you gotta see, hey, when can we, meet up to, like, because some people might be comfortable just going straight to the person's house. Like if you've been talking to them for maybe a few times on FaceTime, you're like, okay, I get a feel for you. You seem cool. Or a person might say, okay, let's meet out to get a coffee. We'll hang out for a little bit and then get to meet each other.
Feel it out.
Right. So it's still like the same thing, but it's just more online based than meeting people in person off the bat, so it's just kind of like navigating that thing, you know what I'm saying?
I do. I've actually had a lot of fun video dating during COVID-19.
Right.
I've kind of gotten that down.
Right.
An hour per video date, so kind of stack the dates.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Exactly. And then it's like
very efficient.
Yeah, you can do meet more people in less time. Right.
It is. It's very efficient. Everyone out there.
Right.
Video dating. If you're not, and it also gives you. It's like a great screener.
Exactly.
To see if because you can kind of tell when you're video dating with seeing someone and live. It's still
right, and you can feel the vibe. You can say, oh yeah, I want to actually meet this person in person. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. I agree. Okay, so when I started dating after my divorce, which has been a little over 2 years now, I had been out of the dating game for a while, like a decade plus. Okay,
right.
So there were a lot of terms that I was not familiar with. And we're going to talk about those terms a little bit today.
Right.
And then we want to talk a little bit more about, obviously, the topic of non-monogamy. So the first term that was introduced to me was ethical non-monogamy.
Right.
Which I had not heard of this before. So what, in your opinion, how would you describe, in your professional opinion,
right?
How would you describe ethical non-monogamy to people listening?
Yeah, so ethical non-monogamy is basically just being honest about your non-monogamous activities. So everyone involved understands what's going on. So for those who don't know, non-monogamy is just basically not monogamous. So that means that you're open, you're probably polyamorous, you just don't fit into the paradigm of monogamy of just you and one other person. And then so ethical non-monogamy means that you're being honest about that. So some people, they will practice non-monogamy but won't be honest. So
transparency.
Right, exactly. So it's just basically just letting people know, hey, this is my lifestyle. Everyone involved knows about this lifestyle and everyone's on board. And so it's like everybody is co-signing the situation instead of like you're with someone
no
and they
surprises.
think right and they think you're the only one, they're the only one, and then you're doing a bunch of other stuff, you know. It
seems very freeing to me. Right. I've found it, at least personally, very freeing to be upfront about it.
Right. So I agree.
It's the antithesis of being a player.
Right. Yeah, because sometimes some players, what they'll do is they'll just like, they'll do a lot of sneaky stuff, you know. So it's like they'll pretend, you're the only one, and then
they sure will,
you know, do all this other stuff behind your back. So you know,
I feel after 2 years out that I can smell out a player. I've learned that. So? Initially, I was so clueless. I was so naive, but now I'm like, oh yeah,
right.
I know your calling card. I know, I got your number, friend.
Right.
It's kind of fun to call players out, and I love to ask them, who's on your short list? How many chicks are on your short list?
Well, the thing is,
and there's always like this awkward pause, like, ooh, she's on to me.
Right. Well, sometimes you might have like players who are honest, and then you have most of the guys, especially guys who are players, you know, they're dishonest about what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? So that's they're
not really ethical, are they?
Right.
Hence the name player.
Right. So you know. Do
you have clients calling you to ask you how to be a player?
Yeah, of course. But I tell them, hey, if you're gonna do that, be an honest player. I'm like, hey, just let people know. And again, that's still
be an honest player. How is one an honest player?
So
ethical.
Yeah, so it falls into the same thing. So what it is that because when you're dating, like when you're first dating people, a lot of people, especially in the West, you know, in our society, in the Western society, it's like it's an assumption that if I'm dating you, I'm only dating you. You know what I'm saying? And so
why is that an assumption? Because I assume the opposite. I assume if you're dating me, you're dating like 5 other women. Right.
But a lot of people don't understand that. And it's because it's like some people are under the assumption that and it's weird because it's really the perspective of the individual person. So like, for example, a guy might date a girl and then because she likes him so much, she probably won't date other guys, or if she does date another guy, it's kind of like, yeah, he's just there, I don't really take him seriously. So she's focusing on that guy, and so because she's focusing on that guy, she expects that guy to only focus on her. So what happens is that he might give off the impression that she's the only one that he's seeing. And then so what happens is that she's interacting with him with the assumption that he's you know, he's the only one that she's seeing or whatever. And sometimes he may act that way, even though he doesn't need to. You see what I mean? He'll say, hey, yeah, we're just, you know, I'm just seeing you. But he's lying to her, which he doesn't need to lie to her. But he's lying to her because he feels he needs to lie to her to make her comfortable in order to be with him. So it's all these different aspects of it that go down.
I say just be upfront about what you want.
Right, exactly.
Especially after you've been married and divorced. There's no reason, in my opinion, to be playing.
Right.
We're all beyond that. Please say yes, team.
I agree.
Excellent. So if people are interested in ethical non-monogamy, they're interested in having multiple people they're dating. It's more casual.
Right.
So that would be like your tip. Like if you want casual dating where you're upfront about it, just say you're ethically non-monogamous.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So the next step beyond ethical non-monogamy, I am learning is what's called polyamory.
Right.
I would describe polyamory, and again, you're the expert, chime in.
Right.
I would describe polyamory as you're wanting multiple partners, but you're wanting maybe more consistency or something a little deeper.
Right.
You're not just playing the field. You're interested in several people.
Right.
And wanting to have more of a, quote, intimate or loving relationship with them.
Right. Yeah.
But so also not exclusive.
Right. So yeah, so it's basically more like the polyamorous aspect of it is more so like, you know, consistent, committed relationship type of energy. You know what I mean? So whereas you can be just you can say you're non-monogamous and say, hey, I'm just hanging out and hooking up with a bunch of different people and I date and everything. But when you talk about being polyamorous, it's more so like I'm in a relationship, you know, with this person, and I'm also probably in another relationship with another person. You know what I mean? So it's basically like more relationship, long-term, or even it could be short-term still, but it's more just it's beyond just like getting together once in a blue moon. You know what I'm saying? And you actually might have feelings. You care more for this person in certain situations. You might be involved in more of their life, you know, certain things like that.
take trips together.
Right, exactly.
Celebrate holidays together.
Right. So it's just like if you're in a monogamous relationship where you're going from dating to actually boyfriend and girlfriend. Polyamorous relationships is like that boyfriend and girlfriend relationship, but with just multiple people. You know what I'm saying? So you might have 2 girlfriends or 2 boyfriends or, something like that.
And again, everyone is aware of it.
Right, exactly.
It's
right.
clear, it's
and everybody
communicated.
Knows, right, exactly.
Now, I know polyamory can be a lot of different things. So you can have a primary partner or you can be more solo and have multiple partners that aren't involved. You can have a throuple. I mean, it's layered.
Right. It's a lot of different.
There's a lot of flexibility in the world of polyamory.
Right. There's a lot of different things. So you can have, like, for example, you can have a situation where, let's say, for example, you might have a guy who has 2 girlfriends and his 2 girlfriends are only dating him. You know what I mean? Or you might have a guy who has 2 girlfriends and his 2 girlfriends have, other boyfriends. You know what I mean? And he might also have another girl he's just seeing and dating. So it just goes in different ways. Or you might even have couples who only date other couples. You know what I'm saying? So that's also another situation that goes down,
So there's a lot of flexibility in the world of polyamory.
Right.
So if you're looking for more consistency or depth or more, quote, traditional boyfriend-girlfriend without exclusivity, polyamory might be a fit for you.
Right.
Okay. Now, here's a new one that I learned. You, I'm sure, again, have heard this before because of what you do for your career. Relationship anarchist.
Right.
Okay. Relationship anarchist. Talk about that because I'm still figuring that out.
Yeah. So relationship anarchy, from what I gained from it, because it's you'll hear like a bunch of different definitions from different people, but I guess the you could say like the main thing you can take away from it is that it's a relationship style that isn't sort of like bounded by strict rules. There's like it's very open. It's
fluid.
It's very like go with the flow. Let's see. There's no like there's hardly any rules.
No parameters.
Right. Exactly.
We're friends.
Right.
Then we're lovers.
Right.
Then we go bowling together. I mean, it's just whatever you kind of want it to be.
Right. Because in a lot of other relationship styles, it's sort of like it forms into little pockets. Relationship anarchy is like just things are everywhere. It's kind of like things are just what it is. It's like whatever happens. You know what I'm saying?
No parameters.
Right.
No definition.
Right. It's that type of energy. So it's kind of like I remember I was talking to somebody who subscribes to relationship anarchy, and he was basically saying kind of like,
I love that.
Exactly.
I subscribe to relationship anarchy.
So he was saying, like he just kind of like there's a woman that he sees, and he said, I saw her 3 months ago, and he was like, I'm probably gonna see her next month, but he was like, there's no like expectation between each other where we have to like speak on the phone every day, or we got to buy each other presents for this, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like however we feel we want to do it, and we take it as it comes kind of situation.
But from my understanding, both parties are communicating,
right? At
least, so there isn't that expectation. Or is it that you're a relationship anarchist so you just don't have expectation? Right.
It's kind of like it's almost like you can kind of switch it up and as you go along, kind of, because like you could one day say, hey, we're gonna let's do this, and then the next time you talk to each other, it could be like, let's switch it up this way, or let's make this happen, or there might not necessarily even be an expectation for communication as far as certain things go, because it's kind of like you're just going with how it is. You know what I'm saying? Like we're like, oh, we're not gonna label it, we're just gonna hang out, do our thing. It's almost like I think that the closest thing to relationship anarchy that people can understand is like when you first meet somebody and you first dating, maybe the first date or second date or whatever, where it's like we're not together, we just met, we're kind of flowing and seeing where things go and just kind of like going with it. You know what I'm saying? So there's not really any
in the moment.
Yeah, it's in the moment. It's not really like a crazy expectation. It's like if you were to meet someone at a bar, y'all talk for an hour or two, and y'all get this vibe, and y'all might go to another place and get something to eat, and you might make out in the park. It's like it's that, but that's like relationship anarchy is kind of like that, but just for the whole relationship. With that person. You know what I mean? That's kind of like how you can like sort of see it. You know what I mean? So it's kind of hard to explain because it's like, how do you explain something so like varied? You know, like,
Here's a question I have about that. Just my own personality. So I know pretty quickly if I'm attracted to someone or not. So if I'm not, we're probably not going to be beyond friendship, right? I don't know, to be that fluid, like there has to be attraction, clearly.
Right.
And then that fluidity. It has to be, because I don't think I could go like, we're just friends and now we're lovers. Like I have to always feel like I can be your lover.
Yeah, it's probably, well, that part has to be there, you know, in there, you know what I'm saying? For it to sort of like have that dynamic, you know what I'm saying? So I think if you're not attracted in that way, then you couldn't have that aspect of it being like a lover situation. You know what I'm saying? So, but if you have that aspect of, yeah, I could be a lover and also I could just be friends with you, and also, you know, like, so it can go down that path also. You know what I mean? So it can go from lover to friend. I don't think it can go strictly from friend to lover if there's no attraction there.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
I do.
So
sometimes I feel too Gen X for all of this, but that's okay.
Right.
I just remember when things were just dating. We were just dating.
Right.
So if someone is looking for blank, relationship anarchy would be a good fit for them. What would be the blank in your opinion?
If they're looking for a relationship anarchy?
Yeah, like what's the blank? If you're looking for blank,
I guess if
anarchy might be the
if you're looking for variety, you know, I think, and I would say like very non-attached variety, you know, and I think that's the main thing of the non-attachment to it. You know what I'm saying? Because I think actually that's a great aspect of any relationship, of enjoying yourself fully in the moment, but also not being super attached, because then you get outcome. Yeah, because then you get so like riled up in it and you get so anxious, and that's where a lot of like frustration comes in, because you got this expectation of, oh man, I thought this was going here and this, and it's like you don't know, you know what I'm saying? Like you never know. So
focused on outcomes.
Right, exactly. It's tough though, because we've been conditioned to focus on outcomes as the happiness. Like if I get this, I'm gonna be happy. So, you know.
We have been.
Yeah.
It leads, I think, to more disappointment if you can just be more in the moment.
Right. Because
and really just savor the moment.
Mm-hmm. Right. Because that's all it really is a series of moments, and then you die. You know. So.
Now we're getting really deep.
Right.
Now we're really deep diving here on the Beyond Monogamy episode.
Right. Exactly.
So I've discovered since my divorce that I really enjoy non-monogamy, ethical non-monogamy.
Right.
I really enjoy experiencing variance of dating different men and having that freedom of being so upfront about it.
Right.
And I feel that men that I interact with, and we have these types of chats, find it refreshing that I'm very upfront about it.
Right.
Do you think women more than men are not sharing how non-monogamous they are?
Yeah, I think women generally aren't going to share it, because a lot of men can't handle that type of information, you know. And
fascinating.
And the reason why, this is the funny part. It's like because I talk about this all the time in like my coaching, my videos, but it's a cycle of interaction between men and women. So what it is that most men, their experience with women, their experience with women is you know, I meet a woman, she says, hey, let's get to know each other. We got to take it slow, you know, all this other stuff, right? So now most men's experience with women, their perception is women aren't that sexual. Women don't really, you know, they're looking for one guy to settle down with and be with. And
I'm trying not to laugh right now.
Exactly. So this is what guys think. So,
maybe when they're younger.
Right. Exactly.
Before they've been married and all that. But I think when women are older.
Right. Exactly. And then so men, that's their perception.
Don't assume this of divorced women, men. Just saying. Just saying. Right. I know I'm speaking for the bulk of us here, but.
Right. And so they think this. And then so when they meet women, and then women's like, yeah, I'm non-monogamous. I just do my own thing. It's like, what? Like, what does that even mean? Like, that sounds crazy, because in their reality, women don't do that. So it's like, I don't get it. And then they think that there's something wrong with her, because they're like, well, she's weird. You know, she's
no.
that's how guys
But you disagree.
No, I disagree.
We are not weird. We are empowered and self-aware.
But that's because, see, in my reality, I understand that, because, and that's what I'm saying. Like most guys, their reality is women not really giving them a certain type of sexual energy. And so because they don't feel that and they don't experience that, their reality is women don't like sex. as much as men.
Oh, so wrong.
You see what I'm saying? Right.
You know, in our 40s, we're having sexual surges. We're
right.
actually wanting a lot of sex.
Mm-hmm. Right.
FYI, gentlemen.
Right. And
to the 30-somethings out there, date women in their 40s, just
right.
if you know what I'm saying. So, yeah. Okay.
Crazy.
So these are just terms. Now, some people get really uptight about terms. Mm-hmm. They think terms are silly, and people who use terms are trying to be special. Uh-huh. I say, if you need to use a term, you use a term. If you don't want to use a term, don't use a term. You be you.
Right.
What are your thoughts on?
Yeah, I think terms are good, but also you don't want to get too caught up in terms, because sometimes what happens is
be flexible with your terms.
Yeah, but also a lot of times too, people like to use terms to sort of like make themselves feel comfortable in a specific situation, which is sort of like a safety net. So for example, okay, a perfect example, we're talking about ethical non-monogamy, right? So a lot of clients of mine, or just people in general that I talk to, because we're in a very like monogamous minded society.
We sure are.
When I talk about non-monogamy, they get nervous, and I'm like, well, what do you think happens when you're dating? When you date a woman, or a woman dates a man, you're most likely dating someone who's also dating other people. So you're practicing non-monogamy already
all the time.
You know what I'm saying?
You're just not calling it that.
Exactly. You see what I'm saying? So when you
call it dating.
Exactly. So this is what I'm saying. So calling it dating makes you feel safer,
comfortable.
Right. It makes you feel comfortable, even though you're still practicing non-monogamy. So the labels we give it, that's cool in a sense, but at the same time, the label is not the thing. So, you know, a spiritual teacher, this is a guy named Anthony DeMello, he was saying that the label isn't the thing. And so what happens is when we put something in a label, we sort of put it in a box, and we sort of like we put down what the actual experience of the thing is. So when we talk about dating and non-monogamy, which is literally the same thing, you know what I mean? It's the same exact experience. Because of our uncomfortability, we label this, or we label that, but the actual action is the same. It's the same thing. So
we need to get over this.
Right. It's like somebody saying, what's the difference between, can we curse on here? I don't know if we can curse. I'll just say like
sure.
This. So somebody,
actually let's not, because then I have to click the box explicit.
So I'll say it like this. Let's say somebody says, someone's,
not that I'm against cursing, everybody.
Because you can say someone's making love, or someone's
doing
smashing,
other things.
Right.
Smashing, that's a good creative word.
Exactly. But if it's literally the same action, but based off of how you feel about it, what you want to say about it, that's the label you put on it is going to make you feel a certain type of way about the situation. But it's literally the same action in the situation. You know what I mean?
I do. So have you always been non-monogamous?
No, I was monogamous back in the day, because it was but it was like I felt like I was, but I wasn't practicing it.
You were saying it, but your actions were otherwise.
Yeah, so I was in a monogamous relationship, and I cheated on my girlfriend a few times. You know what I'm saying? So I think it was more than a few times. It was like 18 times. This is one of my other like ex-girlfriends, and then after her, I was.
This is when you were really young, though.
I was like 21.
Yeah,
21,
you were.
22, yeah,
you were still evolving.
Right. So
it wasn't 2 years ago.
Right, exactly. So after that, I was like, man, I can't do that. Don't worry. Just be honest and say, hey, look, this is what I'm interested in, interacting with different women. You know what I'm saying? So
and once you started saying that you were non-monogamous, what was that like for you?
It was good. It felt just it was just easier.
Like a weight was off.
Yeah, it was like, okay, I can just do this and be who I really want to be. You know what I'm saying? And I think that and this is what I would say too about non-monogamy, is that I think people have the idea that it's just about sex.
Right.
And it's not necessarily just about sex. It's about experiencing situations, which in turn have you see yourself in these situations so that you can grow and sort of self-actualize you. It's like, how am I? It's like, for example, I can go to Japan, or go to Spain, or go to Portugal. I'm going to these different places
to have different experiences.
To have a different experience. And then those places are going to teach me certain things, teach me more about myself.
I agree.
You know what I mean? So
I do.
Same thing with people. You have different experiences with different people, and that teaches you more about yourself and what you like, what you don't like, how you feel about certain situations, stuff like that,
My metaphor is this. When I was explaining kind of my new dating philosophy with girlfriends who were married or more monogamous, I look at all the friends I have in my life.
Right.
I have a lot of friends. And there's different tiers to friendship, right? There's different tiers of intimacy. But I have a lot of different friends because I have different interests. Different friends bring different things into my life. I can have certain conversations with this friend that I don't really have with this friend.
Right.
And now I just see that the same with dating. And it's fun.
Right.
I'm a fan.
Right. No, I agree. I agree.
And you're also married.
Yeah.
And you've been in an open marriage
we've been married for 7 years, and we've been together for 14 years in all. Yeah, in total.
And you were always open.
Yeah, the whole time. Yeah. So when we first started dating, we were just dating like anybody else would date, and then she wanted to be my girlfriend, and I said, all right, cool, but I was like, I want to keep it open.
Still
yeah,
open.
And then she was like, yeah, cool,
non-monogamous.
That sounds good, right? And then we just kept it that way,
And has that been complicated for you?
Not necessarily. I mean, it's been complicated in certain situations of like, I would meet certain women that I liked, and they would be like, and then once they know that I'm non-monogamous, they're like, oh, I don't know about that or whatever. But then you meet other.
Doesn't it kind of up the ante though? Not only you non-monogamous, but you're married.
Right, exactly.
I don't know.
Right, and then
Mr. Lucario, that kind of
exactly
ups the ante a little bit.
Right, so
because then they're going to wonder, okay, is he really in an open marriage? Do you have to have like a permission slip?
Right, exactly.
Like you flash a little badge.
Are you lying? Stuff like that.
Get out the lie detector test. Yeah.
Right. So So that's the.
But it's working for you.
Oh yeah. No, it's good.
Been married 7 years. Together 14.
Yeah, so we've been together 14 years, married 7. I have a girlfriend now. Also, so it's good.
So how do you? Okay, here's a question that gets brought to me when I have conversations like this with people in my world. How do you have time to spend with these various women? How do you delegate your time?
Right. I mean, well, it's just very, very good time management. it's like this.
We business owners, we know how to manage our time well. Right. So I understand that.
Yeah, it's just very good time management, but also managing expectations too. It's like anything else. Like a lot of situations can be very beneficial to you if the communication is right. So it's like, because when you lack communication, that's when assumptions happen. And when assumptions happen, that's when frustration happens in relationships. So you have to communicate and say, hey, this is who I am. This is what I want. If you're interested in being with me, or you're interested in us seeing each other, then, hey, this is what I can give. You know what I mean?
So do you have those types of conversations right out of the gate with these women that you're meeting? Or does that evolve once you have more of a connection?
Yeah.
When are you setting that expectation?
Yeah, usually it evolves, because at first it's like I'm like, hey, look, this is my situation. So the situation, and we are first dating. Like this is my first date with a woman, I first meet her for coffee, and it's the first time I've ever seen her in my life. Like, it's not necessarily a thing where it's like, okay, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen with us, because I don't know what's going to happen with us. I don't know if I'm going to like you. You don't know if you're going to like me. We got to actually see where it goes.
Right.
So it'll be the same sort of protocol like anybody else would be dating. Like, hey, let's see where this goes. Then once things start to get a little bit more consistent, then it's like, okay, let's talk and see where we can really make things happen. You know what I mean? Because then you might say, hey, I want to see you more. I might want to see you more. So how do we create that? And where does this go from here at this point and towards the future? You know what I'm saying?
So, and you're perfect. Okay, so you're married and you have a girlfriend.
Right.
So you have two women in your life consistently. So what would you want to add to that? I
mean, it's like just like dating, like if I'm
so is it kind of like a cake where your wife and your girlfriend are the top tier,
right,
and then there's the next tier,
right?
So you're looking for the second tier ladies,
right? But also and also this is why it's good to communicate and have this.
So they know they're a second tier lady.
No, and that's the thing. It's not even. I don't even like to look at it as second tier.
I'm teasing.
I know. I like to look at it as more.
It's a good visual though. Yeah. Plus, who doesn't like cake? I mean, come on.
I like to look at it more as like just the like everybody is in a different situation. Because like for example, if I'm dating another woman, I'm not her primary person, which she probably most likely would have a primary person, or she will get a
Hopefully you are not her primary person because you're married and have a girlfriend.
Right. So it's like
hopefully you're just a fun guy on the side she sees once in a while.
Right.
Nothing against you, but I mean there's no time for her to be a primary person. That is.
And that's the great thing about non-monogamy is that you're free to find and be with whoever, and there's always this, like, you're never going to run out of people. You know what I'm saying? Meaning, like, so I think that the problem lies in is that, again, with attachment, is that you meet somebody, you really like them, and you want that person to be your person, your main person. And it may not work out that way.
So for you, okay, I'm just intrigued. Is this okay that I'm asking these questions?
Oh, you can ask anything.
Okay, this is intriguing. I'm sure our listeners are leaning in. So do you find at this stage that there are women that you would like to have more time with, but there just isn't that time? Meaning, do you still fall in love with women? Or is there just not space for that? Where women now are more kind of fun and games because you have your wife, you have a girlfriend who you love, and now women are just like a fun, activity. I don't know. I'm being a little, but you know what I'm trying to say? Like, is there space, space? Because I'm intrigued about polyamory. I haven't lived it out though. Right. Like I haven't been in your situation, but it intrigues me. Big time. And it's like, how does that work? I'm just so fascinated.
Well, the thing is, the way that I look at it, and this is me personally, is that I can't fall in love with a woman until an exorbitant amount of time passed. Meaning that So
you never have a crush, or you never have like butterflies?
It's those things are there like that because that's new relationship energy. It's like, oh, it's exciting, it's fun, and that's great. But what I look at, I remember I made a joke where I was saying that love is boring, meaning like love is like
predictable.
It's like the two old people on the porch drinking lemonade, holding hands on a rocking chair. It's like, it's not exciting. It's like, it's like we've been together
stable.
It's stable. It's consistent, and it's work. You know what I'm saying? So the thing is that if I meet a woman and we make it to where we've been seeing each other for a year and a half, 2 years, and it's like great, and we care about each other, then that's when it's like, okay, that's a little bit more serious. But if I meet a woman, and this is not even just for me, it's just for most people, 95% of the people that you meet, you're most likely not going to see them in 6 months. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. It's a numbers game.
Right. Because there's not that many people you're going to connect with on that level, consistently. And even if you do feel that connection with them, they might not feel it with you. And you understand what I'm saying?
And also life just can get in the way too.
Exactly. It's
maybe you have this amazing connection, but you live miles apart, or whatever factors going on.
So many different variables.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So the thing is that it's not that easy to find people that you're going to be like, oh my God, this is great. And it stays that consistent. But when you do, it's kind of like, let's see where this can go. So there's nothing that can't happen. You know what I mean? But it's not anything that happens that often to where it's like an issue. You see what I'm saying? So it's not anything that comes up a lot. And I think there's this fantasy or idea that, how are you gonna get manage all these wonderful people? You're not gonna meet all these wonderful people, or I should say like this: they're not gonna be wonderful to you.
Sure.
And you see what I mean? So they're wonderful people, but everybody's not wonderful to everybody else. So and again, this is why it's so great to be open and have that non-monogamous energy, because you're able to interact with a bunch of different people so that you can see who's the best fit for you. I think a lot of times the drawback with the monogamy for some people is that because they're so attached to trying to find the one, they end up spending
a lot of time with someone they maybe
right.
Yes.
You see what I mean?
That was my 20s.
Right. So.
Do you feel that your non-monogamous lifestyle has made your marriage happier?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, because I think if I wasn't non-monogamous, I would have taken my wife for granted a long time ago.
Well, there's another reason to be non-monogamous, ladies.
Right. Because the thing is that, and I feel like that's just in anything, is that when you're in a relationship and it's just you and the person, it's kind of like, things can get routine or things can get,
Because she also sees other men.
Right, exactly,
Which you got to keep your game up.
Exactly, so like, because if you're out there dating and you're out there.
I want to meet her, right? Like, high five her.
Exactly. Because if you're out there dating, what happens is that you still are putting your best foot forward, you know what I mean? And so that translates into also your main relationship too, you know what I mean? And so and also the juxtaposition between your main relationship and your other relationships. You know what I'm saying? So it also makes you appreciate everybody in the situation. So you appreciate your wife, you appreciate your husband, you appreciate the boyfriend or girlfriend, you appreciate the person you're dating, because you're able to see yourself in all these different experiences versus if you were only with this one person and that's it, right? You don't have that other perspective. You know
I just, what's coming to mind right now is the appreciation. I love that word, by the way, because these women, your wife, your girlfriend, your lovers, are being open to this type of lifestyle.
Right.
And it's not the norm, which I find unfortunate.
Right. I agree.
And so there's this like, oh, you're open to this and this is working and this is enriching our lives. So that would be, for me, that would be even more of an appreciation.
Right.
Does that resonate with you?
Right. Definitely. Because the fact is that, because
not many wives are like, sure, exactly. Yeah, you just go out and have fun with your girlfriend tonight, and I'm just gonna hang out at home and watch some Netflix.
Right, So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you, and also again, I feel like it's one of those things where what I think the most that I like about non-monogamy is that it constantly reminds you that nobody is yours. You understand what I'm saying?
Yours,
right? Exactly,
and that's about it.
Exactly, you know what I mean? And I think we kind of like get clouded in
that possessive
energy of you're my girlfriend, you're my husband, you're my wife. And it's like, no, we're sharing experiences together and that's it. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, nobody is really quote unquote yours. You know what I'm saying? And so again, that goes back to what we talked about earlier about attachment, is that you have to enjoy the situation. Because I've always said this, is that all relationships are going to end. Either you're going to die, or
correct.
We're all going to die, or you're going to break up before you die. You know what I'm saying? So you can't hold on to any of it. So it's like, let's enjoy what we have while we're here. You know what I mean? And while the person's here, and while you know what I mean? So, and I think the possessiveness and the attachment robs you from actually enjoying the moment, because with the possessiveness and attachment, that brings anxiety, that brings
a lot of fear energy.
Yes, exactly. You know what I mean? A lot of time wasted being jealous and scared and, oh, what are you doing here? And what's going to happen? And it's like, I always tell people, if the person you're dealing with and the person you're dating, the person you're seeing, if they're treating you great, if they're respecting you, if they're, giving you the proper time, energy, and attention.
And you're doing the same. You're reciprocating.
Exactly. And you're also doing the same thing, then everything's fine.
Absolutely.
But it's like,
if it's reciprocated. Right. Absolutely.
Exactly. But a lot of times people are always worried about everything outside of the situation or what's going to happen next. It's like, I don't know.
Also, doesn't it take the onus, like being non-monogamous takes the onus off one person having to be all these things to you?
Exactly. Right.
And it also puts more of the onus that you have to be all these things for yourself. Meaning, like, one thing that I've really appreciated about my journey more in the non-monogamous realm is that I love myself so much more. Like, I appreciate myself so much more because I'm not attaching so much to other people outside of me.
Exactly.
It's very freeing and delicious.
Right. And then you let people be free to be who they are, because a lot of times we sometimes expect people to be to us what we want them to be, instead of
being that to ourselves
and understanding that people are going to be how they are. And so we put so much expectation on another person, and that's what frustrates us. I used to do that a lot. I used to man, I was notorious for this, and I would frustrate myself, and even to the point where I got depressed sometimes, because I was always saying, like, I would be like, why are you doing this? And, I expect you to be this way, and I expect you to, and it was like, and I'm like, why am I expecting this person to be what I want them to be? You know what I mean? I have to accept them as they are.
As they are.
You know what I mean? And that's it,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, as a professor of mine said once, people change, but not that much.
Right, exactly.
So this is kind of what you're getting. And another thing, like, again, and I'm sure I've said this 5 times already during our time together, but that's another layer about what I love about non-monogamy is that I don't have, again, I have that freedom to enjoy all the tiers of the cake.
Right.
And the layers are just fun.
Right, right.
Act 2's been fun for me. I'm not going to lie. Okay, so love yourself. Allow yourself to love other people.
Yes.
Don't limit love. Is love big to you? I feel like love is big. Why do we limit love?
I mean, well, the thing
Love,
is,
love is limitless, isn't it?
yeah, well, we've been conditioned to think that love is this like finite thing, you know what I'm saying? But also it's like we have weird like social conditioning about what love is, especially through like music and stuff, you know, a lot of the music is like
the movies that we've been conditioned to watch since we were teenagers. Oh my gosh, everything pushes this one message into our faces. And again, I'm not like anti-monogamy. Like,
right.
if you want to be monogamous, please be monogamous. Be happy and monogamous. But I mean, live your life. Like you be you, I'll be me. But one thing that I guess for me that I just really appreciate about non-monogamy is that to me it feels like love is bigger. Again, I have not lived a polyamorous lifestyle. I have not been in an open relationship. I've dated, ethically non-monogamous. But just that itself has taught me that love is so big.
Right.
And love for myself is so big. It's fun.
Right. No, it's
fun with it.
It's true. But and the problem is that a lot of times we're not loving each other. It's more like we're bargaining with each other. It's like, hey, you do this for me, I'm gonna do this for you. And if you don't do this for me, I'm not gonna do this for you. And if we
limit.
Right, exactly. It's like that type of thing.
Well, I'm going to switch gears here. What would be your dating advice to those interested in the world of ethical non-monogamy, polyamory, relationship anarchy? That's maybe different than if people are looking for monogamy.
Yeah, I would say, I think it's something that they would need to want to do, but also take time with it to get yourself like used to it, because I think a lot of us were coming from the monogamous world into non-monogamy. You know what I mean? So that's what most people are doing.
Exactly.
So it's like understanding that you'll still probably have that conditioning from monogamy, and you're bringing it to the non-monogamous situation, which doesn't
it's
really
exercising a new muscle.
Yes, exactly. So you got to sort of like
repetition.
Yeah, you got to sort of like, you can't really bring the same. It's like 2 different languages, certain languages, certain words in English, you can't translate to another language. It's just not there. You know what I mean? So it's like, you got to understand that it's a different type of energy, but also give yourself time to sort of deal with your emotions about the situation. Cause you're going to get jealous. You're going to feel a certain type of way.
Yeah, it's unavoidable.
Right. You're going to like,
you're still human.
Exactly. You're going to feel all these
Vulnerable,
feelings. You're going to feel vulnerable. You're not, because if it's something new, then you got to sort of like get yourself accustomed to it. You know what I mean? Because even with my wife, like, she's still gets jealous. You know what I mean? We've been together for 14 years. You know what I'm saying? So, but her jealousy isn't as strong as it was before.
Do you ever get jealous?
I'm not like it's weird. I don't think I've gotten too jealous. I think my only issue, one of my issues was safety. That was one of my issues. Like I'm like, just make sure you're safe. Let one of your friends know exactly where you're at. They give them the address of where you're going to be at, stuff like that. My only issue with jealousy would be if, let's say, for example, let's say me and you were together, right? And I said, hey, let's go watch a movie. And you're like, I hate movies. I don't like watching movies. You know what I mean? And then
not true, but right, okay.
And let's say you just said I hate watching movies, and I'm like, come on, I like to watch movies. And then next thing you know, let's say you see another guy and you go watch a movie with him.
Oh,
that right there I don't like. So that's the type of thing I don't like. So it's like, so it's like I don't like that energy of saying this is not what you do.
But then for this new person you're
right. I think that's kind of like weird. You know what I'm saying? Now it's one thing if you changed your mind. I get, then we change. I'm like, hey, I kind of want to watch movies now. That's cool. But if it's like, I don't want to do this with you at all, but I want to do this with this other person. I think that's kind of weird because then it's like you're not.
What's the difference?
Yeah, exactly. Right. I just think that's kind
File
of
that away, everyone.
Right.
For those interested in open marriages, open relationships. Okay, what are some dating apps our listeners can go to if they're wanting more of a non-monogamous experience in the world of dating?
Man, I wish there was more. There's not really that much. There's one app, this new app called Open. It's like #Open, where they have
It's under construction, by the way.
Yeah, I think it's like they're still working out some things.
They're working out their game.
OkCupid,
yep,
I think is great.
Because they allow you to check the box of non-monogamy.
Right, exactly.
And then Field,
yeah, that's
Have you been on that app?
I haven't really been on that.
That is like, to me, like Tinder on speed.
Oh, wow. Okay, I got to check that out.
I think that's more for the gentleman. But anyway,
right.
Enjoy.
Funny.
Well, I have to ask you one more thing before we close out. So you had made a comment before the show about what is one thing people should never say. And the comment you made was, what are you looking for? People should never ask another person.
Right.
You, in your words. So give like 1 minute reason why you should never say, what are you looking for?
Well, the thing is, when you say, what are you looking for? It kind of messes up the dynamic between you and the person naturally. So it's like,
but if you are looking for non-monogamous, shouldn't you say that?
No. What I'm saying is that I'm saying in general, when people ask what are you looking for, what they're expecting is the person to answer exactly what they want.
They're looking for.
Right, exactly.
So you should just say what you're looking for, not ask the other person.
Right, exactly. You
just
can say,
I'm looking for blank.
Or or I like this. I like, stuff like that.
Own your own.
Right. And, and also what I will say too is that
because it's kind of the kiss of death, in my opinion, when you ask another person what you're looking for. It never works out.
Right, because a lot of times they're going to say something. They might say something that doesn't go with exactly what you're expecting, but also at the same time, you're stopping yourself from you and that person actually having an experience. So, for example, I dated a girl, I think we was dating almost like a year or something like that. Well, not like, we weren't like serious, but we saw each other for like a year.
Consistently.
And I remember she said, oh, I'm looking for like a monogamous relationship and I want to get married and all this other stuff. Right now, we saw each other for a year, had a great time. You know what I'm saying?
She told you that?
Yes.
Knowing you were non-monogamous.
Yes. And so
fascinating.
Right. But the thing was, we still saw each other because we still were interested in spending time together.
But she knew that you weren't going to turn the page on that.
Right. Okay, right. But the thing is that she has.
You never told her otherwise, right?
Right. No.
Very good.
Right. She knows that I'm non-monogamous, but she was also looking for that. But we didn't let that stop us because there was a natural attraction and energy of us.
So you still had a great season of life together.
Right. And so a lot of people... So
you didn't limit that experience.
Yes. And a lot of people make that question stop them. So in another situation, if I said to a woman, yeah, I'm non-monogamous, and that would have been like, someone would be like, oh, well, we're done. You know what I'm saying? And they just sort of cut off the experience.
Sure.
Now, the thing is that we don't know, no one knows if they're going to live tomorrow. So imagine if she was like, you know what, I'm not going to bother with you, and then she didn't live till the next year. She would have cut that whole year of experience out of her life and she wouldn't have experienced anything. You see what I'm saying? And I'm just using that as a simple example, right? You know what I mean? But that's what I'm saying, where people are sort of cutting off an actual great experience by being assuming that, oh, well, I can't experience
really have a connection if you're not looking for the same thing as what I'm looking for.
And it's ridiculous.
Well, we could have like a 5-hour podcast here, but we're going to say goodbye. So this has been fantastic. I've been looking forward to this conversation just because of my own feelings around non-monogamy.
Right.
So thank you so much again for sharing your story, talking about all these fun terms, keeping it real. Yeah, I love how you keep it real.
I appreciate you having me.
Of course. How can our listeners learn more about your coaching and your workshops and your books and all of that?
Yeah, so so everyone can go to my main site, which is mrlocario.com. That's MRLOCARIO.com. So I have programs for men and women on there. And also for the guys specifically, I have a coaching program, a membership program called badboymembership.com.
Bad Boy Membership. Okay.
So that teaches
like
guys,
an interesting connotation.
Yeah, exactly. Teaches guys how to step up their game, how to attract women, how to.
So it's a positive. When you say bad boy.
Oh yeah, everything I do is positive.
Okay.
No, because
you need to clarify that.
Yeah, because and I'll say this real quick.
Yes, please.
The bad boy isn't just an archetype. You know, like when they say nice guys finish last. A nice guy is also an archetype. So the bad boy and the nice guy is an archetype. The difference between a bad boy and a nice guy is the guy who pretends to be exactly what you want, you know, and then you fall for this guy, and then 3 months later he's out of it. You're like, what happened? That's the nice guy. The bad boy is like, hey, this is me. Take it or leave it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm being honest with you from the jump.
Games. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. I'm glad you clarified that,
right.
Especially for our listeners. And then where are you social media wise? Where would we?
So on Instagram, you can find me at real Mr. Locario. So just real and then my name is Locario. And also that's on Twitter. You can find me on there. And just on YouTube, just, type in Mr. Locario.
You're everywhere on YouTube.
All my videos will pop up,
So many videos.
Yeah.
Well, this has been delicious.
Please be sure to follow, subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. You can also follow Sadie's Divorced and Happy podcast on Instagram and Facebook. And be sure to visit us at divorcedandhappy.net. Mr. Locario and I wish everyone listening so much positivity as you explore what type of relationship path is right for you. I'm your host, Sadie Marie, and I cannot wait to connect with you on our next podcast episode. Till then, you take good care.